Hi, everybody. Welcome to Client Protection and Risk Reduction class. And we call it that for a reason. Both of those things go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because if you protect your clients properly, you're going to reduce their risks and also your own as well. The purpose of this class is to familiarize you with some contract issues, get you confident and comfortable with the content and the subtleties of some of the listing and purchase contract issues. Avoid problems, lawsuits, misunderstandings, some of the things that we've seen over the years. Help you avoid problems with licensure issues and problem clients. The average agent is sued every 4.5 years in the real estate business. That's kind of an astonishing, bone-chilling statistic. Here's one that will make you feel better. Key Realty's been around for 16 years now, and I've been in the real estate business for decades. And no agent that's ever worked with us, including myself, has ever been sanctioned by the Ohio Division of Real Estate for anything. We've never had any problems. We've never had any lawsuits that were successful against the company for monetary damages. We have a virtually clean record, considering the fact that there's tens of thousands of transactions involved. It's an enviable record, something we're proud of. And we think the beginning of that and the point of origin for all of that success is grounded in this particular section of information. So please listen carefully. There's going to be videotaped versions of this. I would encourage you to go back over it because there are some points, there are some commonalities about issues that do surface. And we're going to talk about those as well. You know, the contract is the beating heart of the business. It's where you make or break deals. It's where you solve or create problems. You demonstrate your value to your clients and help them fulfill their dreams. Buying or selling a home is a major life event. These people are counting on you to know these contracts inside out, know what they mean. And you can use your expertise to build understanding and relationship and comfort for your clients, right, Phil?
You know, Dennis, it's funny you say that because I think it's really, this is like a professionalism course, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a professional, transparent, understand things, stay in your lane, explain what the client needs to understand and what your role in this is.
Right.
In a way that they understand exactly what these roles are, you are not going to have problems.
You're not going to have problems.
And it comes down to that. It really is. And this is the greatest part about this is the easiest way to get business is the repeat and referral business model. And doing this correctly will make your business successful.
Yeah. I always tell people, don't tell people you're the expert. Show them. Show them through your understanding of this. Show them through your expertise, your education. Credentialize yourself. Make yourself the expert by being the expert and acting out those appropriate behaviors. I always tell, and this is something you can use, this is a powerful phrase. If you're talking to a buyer or a seller, tell them, buyers, finding the home is the easy part. We're here for the hard part. We're here for the contracts and the inspections and contract issues, repair issues, financing, all of those kinds of things that we have available to you in terms of resources can be brought to bear. Demonstrate your value, help them fulfill their dreams. Take care of your clients. They're depending on you. And we're going to show you how to do that in this class.
Yeah, so the thing that we're going to cover today is a little bit about the listing packet, the paperwork, and more the whys.
Yeah.
Right? These change from the market that you're in. You guys have to go through the second part of the Fast Fresh Start that teaches you all the contract classes and do it. You're not going to learn that right here. You're going to have to dig in and do your part also. But we're going to go over the sales packet, why it's structured how it is, how to get a zero deductible, right? The reality is,
fantastic.
We are able to we do have insurance to cover you for mistakes and errors and omissions, how to make that a zero deductible for you. Seller's net sheets, why they're so important. Us to spend some time with both. We feel very strongly at that. That's with every listing and every offer, it has to be part of it. It's malpractice, in my opinion, if it isn't.
Yep.
And what we do, which is very practical tips, right? We're going to share very practical tips of what happens, what these roadblocks are, and how to avoid them by explaining things properly.
Nuts and bolts. We're going to show you some nuts and bolts. We're going to show you some cow pies. We're going to show you areas where agents have gotten themselves in trouble. Okay. And it's a good class. We hope you like it, and we hope you listen carefully because there's a lot of things in here you do not want to learn the hard way.
Yeah. So let's jump right in. We're going to talk about the sellers. We're going to talk about the sellers and the listing agreement, right? We're not going to review it here. There's a videotape of me doing it or someone else doing it for you. You need to You need to write when it comes to paperwork. It's write it, read it, and read it again, right?
No,
When you're filling this out.
know it. Be comfortable with it and explain it in plain English to people. Don't read the contract to them. They're going to fall asleep on you, and they might drown in their soup if they have a bowl of soup in front of you. So just take your time with it.
Yeah, and this is my other thing. We all know you can set a contract in front of people. People just sign it. We know that happens. Guys, you have to explain what these things mean to them and what this means when they sign it. Whether it's that listing contract, what the obligations are, and what they're really doing. Because later they want to say, well, I don't know, I didn't even read it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So if
exactly.
you send them a download and they hit the button, guys, you are asking for trouble later. We know that for a fact.
I do want to talk briefly about the residential property disclosure form as well. And this is an area where you want to tell them it's not a test. If you don't know, put I don't know, okay? But don't coach, this is important, do not coach them beyond that, okay? Do not tell them how to fill out that form. And most importantly, do not fill it out for them. Let them fill it out themselves. There's significant legal liabilities that you incur if you do that.
And the instructions are right on the form of
Yeah.
how they're supposed to answer the questions. I'll be honest with you, I do everything in .loop. The one I do not do in .loop is I do the residential. We're going to share some very practical things. I actually think the residential property disclosure form is actually easier for them to hand fill out. The cool thing about that is it's their handwriting on it, so it's not yours. It's also what we've noticed when it's in .loop. Sometimes the spouses will try to sign things, they miss things, they click over. They seem to be filled out better when they're actually done in handwriting. So we share some very practical things. Then you just scan it into .loop, then it goes scanned into the multiple listing service, but it's their handwriting, not yours, and it's obviously they filled it out. You didn't fill it out, you didn't sign it. And that's a
When I
very
was
important thing.
practicing in the field, I bought with me in my listing packet a self-addressed stamped envelope. And that's how strongly I felt about it. I would tell them, fill this out at your leisure, take your time. It's not a test, but I don't know if you don't know. But I would leave it in their hands and ask them to mail it back to me because I didn't even want to be there when they were filling it out.
Yeah, they'll save you. We're giving you some things that'll save you something. The agency disclosure form, guys, we've taught whole classes on this recently, as you know, with buyer's agents, seller's agents in between. But you have to explain your role in detail.
Well, and use it as an opportunity to explain your value.
Fame.
I mean, yeah. I mean, this is a place where you can, through education, create value in their minds for you as a real estate professional. Talk about confidentiality, the fact that we cannot betray them. We cannot do things that are contrary to their best interest, et cetera, et cetera. What an agent is, why it's important to them. And the last, but certainly not least on this particular slide, the home warranty. Oh, don't get us started on this subject, guys. This is a protection for you. It's a protection for them. Phil and I were talking the other day, and not having a home warranty on a house when you have a first-time home buyer, that's malpractice, in my opinion. Because if they have no money and 2 months after they buy that house, the furnace goes out, it's a financial catastrophe for everyone involved. Not to mention the fact that it could have legal they're going to come after you.
If they don't have the money to do it, they're going to look some way. They're going to start pointing fingers, right?
So a lot of times it can take a really wonderful experience and turn it south for you. And it doesn't have to look like that. That home warranty is a form of like major medical insurance. It's designed specifically to avoid unanticipated catastrophe. That's what it's there for. Please use it. Use it for your client's protection.
You know, but the other part of that, 100%, but the other part of that perspective too is, guys, learn the warranties and understand. If there's ever going to be a problem with the warranty is you overpromise what it does. But remember, the warranty also covers the seller for while it's listed. So if something goes wrong, when the seller has it listed, it may be a covered item, which again adds value. The other thing it does is I always said when there's a problem, I don't want him calling me as listing agent. I don't want him calling me as a buyer's agent. I don't want him calling the seller. I want him calling the warranty company.
It's such a cool thing when you have a post-closing problem. to be able to say, yeah, we can probably get you some coverage. Let's talk to the home warranty company and see what we can resolve. There is a point. Bottom line, I've watched home warranties over the years save me personally at least a half a dozen, if not more, lawsuits, significant lawsuits, problems with clients. I was able to maintain relationships with people that would otherwise would have become very problematic. So please know what a home warranty is and how it works and some of the intricacies of it, and become an advocate, become a powerful advocate for the home warranty for everyone's protection. It's a good product.
Yep. Absolutely. I just want to jump over a little bit, continuing along the paperwork side, on the listing side. You know, when you turn your listing in, there's a stacking sheet in Loop of what you need, right? And it's there for a reason, right? Every one of those pieces of paper there for a reason. I am never, ever going to apologize for our staff asking you to have things signed, initialed, and where that document is. This is to protect you, you as agents, and protect us as a company, and more importantly, protect your seller too, as a client, right? So we need the listing contract completely filled out, initialed, etc. Agency documents, all the agency documents are required in your state. Those have to be in there, and that's why they're on that list. Property disclosure form, if it's not required, we already gave you some advice on filling it out. If it's not required, then you're going to fill out the thing why it's not required, right? Lead-based paint, if it's required, guys, we have to do that. It creates huge liability for the sellers and the agents if you do not do that correctly. The home warranty, and by the way, guys, it doesn't have to be accepted. I think this is very important.
This is very important.
It has to be presented. Ultimately, that seller or buyer will decide they want it or not, and then they can accept or decline. But it's important it's in there so that you never can say later as well, no one ever
You should have told me. Yeah, right. Trust me, there have been instances where clients have alleged that it was not presented to them.
Because they wanted the $7,000 furnace.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So you want an acceptance or a declination on it, and it's not an unreasonable request.
And the other caution I would have in there is, guys, I don't know what your personal beliefs are in the warranties. Talk to the warranty companies. They will explain this. But don't let your own personal beliefs influence them saying, oh, well, these don't pay, or, you know, don't do it, or why waste the money?
Well,
that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
And malpractice, in my opinion, too.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be blunt here and take a risk with you. People that don't understand home warranties are the only ones that don't use them, frankly. I mean, I profoundly disagree with that. Home warranties being a matter of opinion. I mean, if you see what we see as management people in this business, you would become a raving fan of home warranties. Trust me. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of transaction repairs that are warranty claims that are filled out every year and processed inside of this company. We see them come across our desks. This is a good product. Just trust us on this issue. And if you don't believe in them, take the time to take a second look. I think you might change your mind.
Sit down with the reps.
Yeah,
explain exactly the advantages.
Let them talk you through it.
You'll be very surprised. Last but not least is affiliated business arrangement disclosure. So with our arrangements with the title company, the title company and mortgage company, we have to disclose that. It's very important it's signed, whether they use our mortgage company or not.
You can use anybody
whether they use our title company or not. Both buyers and sellers in the transactions have to sign that disclosure. So it's important that you put that in there too.
Let's talk a little bit about the fine print, Phil.
Yeah.
We're going to start to get into some of the subtleties and the wrinkles here and some things. You know, I do want to just take a second here and talk about the fact that you're living for someone like me who's been doing this for decades, this is a charmed world, okay? All you got to do is follow the bouncing ball. Using Loop, if you use the stacking order sheet, you take it form by form, take your time, know what the forms mean, explain them in plain English, get the agreements that you need. Life is so much easier than it used to be in the real estate business. And we can produce a much, much better product because it's not dependent on us trying to remember everything.
And if you have a question, click on, there's videos and education will explain it. And also go to the knowledge base. It will explain many of the situations.
And if you goof and you miss something, we're going to ask you to resubmit.
Yep.
And if you miss a set of initials on page 3 of the property disclosure form or something, We have 16 full-time people sitting there doing document compliance and client care and making sure that these documents are what they should be. And so if you make a mistake, we are probably going to catch it for you without any problem. But please, when you do get a file back, approach it from the standpoint of, thank goodness this was caught. Let's fix it together. And it's not our intention to be piggly wiggly or difficult with you. It's our intention to make sure that you're protected and so are your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to talk about some of the finer points of the contract?
Sure. Fire away, bud.
You're up.
up.
Did you want to
I'm
talk
up.
about some of the finer points?
Well, a couple of things. One of them is exclusive right to sell means that if they sell it to anybody, if they lease it to anybody, et cetera, during the terms of the agreement, that the listing agreement terms and conditions do apply. They can't sell it themselves, et cetera. Now, you can amend that if they have a brother-in-law that wants to maybe buy the property and they don't want to pay a commission to do that, et cetera. You can specifically exclude people from the contract. But for the most part, it's an exclusive right to sell. If a full price buyer comes along and the seller decides they want to change their mind before or after the contract, they do owe us technically a commission. I think it's, in practical terms, it's very difficult to collect that unless they just simply wait until the day before closing and change their mind about selling. We may pursue them on that basis. But here's one that you'll get a lot of questions about, which is the protection period. What does that mean? Let's say that you list the house from January 1st, first half of the year, through January 30th. And on May 1st, a buyer comes through the property and they look at it and they decide to wait 2 or 3 months to buy it. Sometimes they will contact the seller directly and try to negotiate some kind of an accommodation to avoid the commission, that sort of thing. That's what the protection period is there for. It says that during the period of the listing and for a period afterwards, we're protected on anyone who's seen the property during the pendency of the listing. So that's what the protection means. You will get questions on it, understand what it means, and be able to explain it. They have to have an expiration date on them. That's the law. So make sure that there's an expiration date. There's no net listings. A net listing means that I'm going to list your house and $200,000 is what you're looking for. Anything over and above that, I get. Those are illegal. And the role of an agent sometimes is misunderstood by sellers. They think that you're the agent that's working for them. Your actual technical role is that of a sub-agent of the company. Their listing contract is with the brokerage, not with the agent. So those are just some subtleties and finer points of the contract that people are going to ask you questions about, and we're trying to give you the answers now so you'll have them.
Absolutely. Did you want to talk a little bit about the net sheet?
Well, it's another one of those don't get me started, because
I feel the same way.
Yeah, maybe the stories start flooding through our heads, right? A net sheet, a completed net sheet, especially when you have an offer presented and accepted, is probably the most important document you'll ever have, because it memorializes, it puts in writing, and you get an acknowledgement from the seller that this is the understanding in plain English. And they can't come back and say, well, I didn't see that on page 3, it was too complicated, et cetera, et cetera. This is nothing more than a brief but pointed summation of everything that everyone has agreed to in a transaction. The most important part of this is the second section, where you talk about possession issues and closing dates and things like that. And sometimes people don't listen. They're all excited about selling their house, the dog's running around, whatever. There's a lot to explain here, and there's a lot to understand. And if you complete this and ensure delivery to them, you can tell them, 3 days from now, if you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're wondering what you agreed to about possession or whatever, please call me if you want, but understand that all of that information is right here in front of you. And I do want to tell a quick war story, in the sense that years and years ago, when they didn't have a net sheet, Amy, my wife, came back from a closing and said, I don't want to go to your closings anymore. People are always yelling. And I said, well, why? And we decided that it was because we they didn't remember things.
Correct.
Either about the money or about their contractual obligations and rights, etc. And so we developed our own. I sat down with the title company and went through all of these expenses and took the time to understand them, and then went ahead and put all the other things in here that we knew that had become points of confusion or dispute. And we put them in writing. And the interesting part of the story and the good part of the story is all of those problems evaporated. They were just gone. Okay. From that point forward, we had happy closings. And so we had the benefit of seeing it without this and then seeing it afterwards. And the difference was truly night and day. So become a fan of this.
Well, and it's part of the process, right? So when you list the property, you go through what a net sheet's going to look like. So they actually understand the full cost of selling their house. Because if they just list otherwise, they don't understand the transfer tax, they don't understand title work, they don't understand what those issues are. So you have to have this, what they're ultimately going to walk away from. And I always, when I would give them the net sheet up front, is these are the issues we will address when we have offers. And it was always an estimate based on when it closes and any outstanding mortgages. Now, guys, if there's any kind of heads up that something seems awry, get the title company involved. United Title Alliance will look at it for you, and they'll actually pull the United Alliance Title will pull the owner for you, see if there's any liens or stuff. So get them involved early. And this is what happens is a lot of times you'll see it right here in this part of the process. The second thing happens is with multiple offers, as Dennis was saying, they don't remember which is which. Mm-hmm. One, they'll be able to make a decision if there's multiple offers based on which each one nets them, which may be more important than some things, but at least it'll be fully disclosed. And then secondly, which one they ultimately accepted. So it's a way, and it really does, that process is going to frame you as that professionally, fully informed professionals helping them make good decisions for them.
This is not only a place for you to be good, it's a place to look good. Okay. It's a place to shine. It's a place to create the information and the comfort. This is supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, you may have a bad client on your hands, but chances are there's some kind of lack of clarity in some of these issues. So these forms are your friends. They're not your enemies. Treat them as such. They provide informed decisions. They provide clarity. They provide comfort for your clients. And they provide an opportunity for you to not only do your job, but interact and engage with these people so that you can create a great experience for them.